Hey everybody. So I'm going to start off this video with a quick look at this 1996 Jeep Grand Cherokee ZJ Limited 5.2. I've been driving this thing since 2011. It's my daily driver. Got it repainted last year. It has 342,000 miles on it on the original engine. Over here to the left we have a 1997 Jeep Grand Cherokee ZJ Laredo. Now here we have a 2002 Grand Cherokee WJ Limited, but today's video is the focus of this Jeep here. So again, it's a 1997 Jeep Grand Cherokee 5.2 liter Laredo. It's got a busted passenger rear window. A couple other little things going on with it. This Jeep I found at Pull Apart. It was put on the lot on the 4th of February. I first discovered this thing on the 6th of February. The only components this thing has had removed from it would be the original catalytic converter. Well, maybe not the original, but the catalytic converter. And it's had the ECM or PCM removed. It's had the fuel tank drained. In other words, they drilled a hole in the fuel tank to drain the gas out of it. And it's had the transmission pan drained. Basically, they drill a small hole in the transmission pan to drain the transmission. The vehicle otherwise, mostly intact. I did pull a few things off of it before I decided to buy it. I bought this thing on the 10th of February because, let's face it, this vehicle would be a great parts donor for that one. A lot of the stuff that's on this one will interchange with that one. Same engine, a lot of same interior accessories, even though that one's a limited. A good parts donor vehicle. However, this Jeep, I mean, let's look at the interior. Now, I have pulled some parts off the dash. I had those in the house, which I'll show you in a moment. You require taking off the lower section of the dash here, under the steering column, and under there as well as the glove box. These items are in the back seat. And again, there's that busted window which we'd have to replace. Here's the front drive shaft. It's got a nice big dent in it. I pulled the drive shaft out of this because these Jeeps have the 249 transfer case, which is a all-time four-wheel drive transfer case. That is not exactly liked by a lot of the Jeep enthusiast community because it has a viscous coupler that's known to go bad, and also the fact that it's in four-wheel drive all the time can really kill your gas mileage. And of course, I pulled the front drive shaft. That way we don't have to worry about this thing being a full-time four-wheel drive because our front axle will be disconnected. That way, no worries when it's being towed or loaded onto a trailer to get home. So let's look at the interior on this thing. Here's a look at the dash. Look at the instrument cluster. Now, I got some pictures of this I took before I really started tearing some stuff out of it. I mean, look at these seats. They're in really good condition for something like this. Yes, the headline is ripping down a little bit, but the back seats, they're mostly intact. I mean, pretty clean. This thing is relatively clean. I'm telling you, this. I mean, you could fix this thing up and drive it again, at least you think. So, let's go and have a look at the engine compartment. And I'll show you what I was talking about earlier. Here's the engine compartment. Of course, battery's not there. That was taken out. The engine was also drained of oil. However, they did not drain the antifreeze. It still got coolant in it. And it looks like, it's funny to note, we got a little bit of a coolant leak. What a shocker. I think it's leaking from the hose. These things do tend to leak coolant. It's not too difficult to fix though. But we have an engine here that still has everything intact. This thing has not been like parted out. Now they did take the ECM off. I think someone bought it off this vehicle during a short time between February 4th and February 6th. This thing was basically, when I bought it on the 10th, it was in the same condition as it was when I found it on the 4th, or excuse me, the 6th. So this is a vehicle that you could fix up. I mean, find another PCM for it, get that reinstalled, go through everything, put all the fluids it needs back in it, fix some minor issues, reinstall a new catalytic converter, replace the fuel tank, stuff like that. And you could drive this thing. It's definitely capable of being repaired. In other words, it's not damaged beyond repair. Take note of that phrase. It is not damaged beyond repair. It's not unrepairable. Okay, everybody, so here's the parts I pulled off that Jeep. You got this blower motor, which the blower motor of mine was making some weird noises a little while back. Sounds fine now, but I had originally bought this to put in my 96. Here is the headlight control module. I pulled this because this, as well as this Digital Information Center, or VIC, Vehicle Information Center, they're very popular items to grab off of these ZJs, and I just wanted to go ahead and get them because at the time I was not sure if I was going to buy the whole vehicle or not. I mean, all this stuff really. I wasn't sure if I was going to buy the whole thing, so I grabbed these parts. Both of these do tend to have issues with solder joints failing, so what I'll do is I'll open these up, go over the solder and joints. The VIC I might up recapping after I do a little bench test of it first to see if it works at all. But yeah, these are the parts I pulled out of it, and of course that required pulling out the it required removing the glove box and the lower section of the dash trim, as well as the I guess we'll call it the kick panel, or the dash trim is under the steering column. All of those items are in the back seat of the Jeep. All of those could be put right back in. So there you go. So let's have a look under the thing. Now, of course, unfortunately, the original wheels were going off of it. They had to put these little donut spares in here. That way it could roll on something. They didn't treat this thing very well when they had it, I'll say that. But we look under here. We have a nice unibody, hardly any rust on it. You can see where the muffler's hanging because they cut the catalytic converter out of it. There's the transfer case there, the infamous 249, which I should note, I just recently pulled the 249 out of that and replaced it with a 242. That's a common modification people do to these things. So, there's the transmission. You can see the little spot on the pan where they drained it. Back there's the engine. Of course, front drive shaft's missing out of it. But you look at this thing. I mean, there is some residue. It's kind of to be expected for the mileage which is on this thing, which I'll tell you the mileage in just a moment. But, I mean, overall, it's not in bad condition at all. It's definitely salvageable. I just noticed this now, the the linkage just popped off the transfer case. I wonder why that is. Looks like it's just popped off there, but anyways, I say all the suspension components, the control arms, all that stuff, they look okay. Nothing that would signal that this vehicle is unsafe for a roadway, to drive on a roadway. It probably has a mechanical issue. It probably needs to have the transmission worked on, something like that. Now, of course, it's a nasty, crappy, rainy day, and I'm here reshooting this video because the last video was shot with it very windy, and I didn't like how that turned out. So we're shooting it now. But you look at this thing. I mean, it's relatively mint. Yes, it needs a paint job. It's more noticeable when it's dry. But a paint job is something that's not terribly expensive, depending on where you take it. That Jeep I took to Mako last year. Mid-level urethane and clear coat paint job. $1,500. 4-year prorated warranty. Here's a look on the back of this thing. You can see where pull apart drilled this gas tank in 1, 2, 3, 4 different spots. Yeah, so the gas tank's a goner. We'd have to get another gas tank for it. But, I mean, overall, it's not in terrible condition. It's not in a state where it's unrepairable. It's not in a state where its only value is a source of parts. Here's looking at the back. And of course now the back hatch doesn't want to stay up today. Pretty common for these things to need replacement lift struts. But there's look at the back. This needs some cleaning. Nothing too major. Spare tires going, of course. Pull apart, I had to sell that, make a few bucks off of that. And of course they were Carolina Panthers fans. Geez, I remember back when they went to Super Bowl back in 2004. I'm glad they left these in here. Pretty nice. Had to hang on to these. But yeah, so this Jeep, it's definitely in a state where it could be repaired and put back on the road. I mean, look at this interior. It's unfortunate I actually pulled the stuff out because, I mean, dang. This thing is actually, the seats in this thing are better than the condition than that one over there. Now, if I do have to park this Jeep out, I'll probably be pulling the seats out and stick them in mine. Don't really want to. I would rather fix this thing up. But yeah, you kind of get the idea. We have a vehicle here that is definitely not in a condition where it couldn't be safely repaired and put back into service. It may need a transmission rebuild. That might be the biggest issue with this thing. That might be why it ended up at pull parts. Now I should note, I did do some testing of the electrical system. It does have a short in the accessory circuit that feeds the radio, the VIC, all that stuff. And it might just be a shorted radio. It might be a shorted amp in the back seat. Yeah, so vehicles, it needs some work. Nothing too major. Nothing that would consider it unsafe for operation on a roadway once it's fixed. So this Jeep, it has 244,000 miles. Remember earlier I said that one over there has 342,000. So yeah, 342,000 miles in the original engine. This one has 244,000. That one had 244,000 miles on it back in 2014. So again, not something that could not be repaired. One last look here at the engine compartment. Like I say, it needs a little bit of work done. It probably needs a new power steering pressure hose. It looks like it was leaking. It needs to have a coolant lead fixed. I mean, little things like that. Like I say, nothing too major. It also needs some new headlights. That one there is pretty wrecked. It's gonna need a mirror thanks to pull apart damaging this one. Can't see it right now, but it's got a big crack in it. Laredo mirrors can easily be purchased on the internet. The limiteds are a little harder to find. That's the good thing about this one being a Laredo. But yeah, this thing is a very highly optioned Laredo. It was a nice Jeep back in its day when it was brand new. And it could still be nice if someone wanted to really fix it up. But whoever last owned this Jeep thought it was worth they thought it wasn't worth fixing, so they called up pull apart, say, hey, can you come buy this vehicle from me for scrap? Okay, so here's where we run into problems with this Grand Cherokee. As you just seen, it's definitely capable of being fixed up. Nothing too major wrong with it. It's definitely in a state that's not considered unrepairable. And it definitely could have more value than just for parts. However, due to the fact that it was sold to pull apart, this Jeep will never see the road again under the current laws of the state of North Carolina and the federal government. That is due to the fact that this Jeep, when it was sold to pull apart entered it in as a scrap or junk vehicle. Okay? A scrap or junk vehicle in the eyes of the state of North Carolina and many states in the United States They see that as a vehicle that is less safe to operate on a roadway than a vehicle that was involved in a major accident. Let's say you have a nice vehicle, or just you have a vehicle in general. It's involved in an auto accident, and the insurance company totals it. You can buy that vehicle back as salvage, and you can repair that vehicle. But yet, this Jeep, which, according to the report that I purchased for it, it has never been involved in an accident. It had an otherwise clean title. No issues with the title, nothing like that. It was a perfectly salvageable, fixable vehicle. For all I know, it probably was in driving condition when it ended up at pull apart. But since businesses like Pull Apart, when they get these vehicles, they're all entered in as scrap or junk. Once that is entered in, you will never be able to get a title for it again, at least in North Carolina. Yeah, it's ridiculous. We have a vehicle here that I honestly would like to save. I would like to fix it. I would like to get it back on the road. But North Carolina considers it a junked parts vehicle. And basically, it will never be retitled in this state. So yeah, people can buy wrecked salvage vehicles, and they can fix them up. It'll be with a salvage title and eventually a rebuilt salvage title. But a vehicle like this is considered junk. Yeah, a vehicle like this is considered, in the eyes of North Carolina, something that is so unsafe that it must never receive a title ever again. Think about that. There are vehicles for sale on Marketplace. There are Jeeps for sale on Marketplace that are in far worse condition than this. And for those who live up in the northern states, you're looking at this and saying, that is definitely a fixable vehicle. There's hardly any rust on it. I mean, I understand, your vehicle's up in the north. Just after 5-10 years, sometimes their frames are so rusted that they're unsafe to ever operate on a roadway ever again. But here in the south, people throw away these things for something as simple as a failed transmission. Now, I understand a failed transmission can be an expensive repair for somebody who may own one of these things. However, the actions of one considering it a junk vehicle should not condemn it to a scrapyard for parts. Especially a case like this Grand Cherokee, which spent less than 1 week on the lot at pull apart. In the eyes of North Carolina, in other states, this vehicle is considered junk. It's considered unsafe. It shall never receive a title ever again. So again, to wrap this up, this 97 Grand Cherokee 5.2 V8 could definitely be fixed up. It's definitely capable of being repaired and put back on the road. But thanks to it being reported as junk, it will never see the road ever again. But yeah, I could go buy one of these wrecks from a salvage yard that has it flagged as a salvage vehicle, and somehow, yeah, I could fix that one up. You see what's wrong here? This is why we live in what I guess I'd call a throwaway society, where perfectly good vehicles, or vehicles that are fair, vehicles that could be repaired, are sentenced to scrap, simply because many states, and I guess I'd say the federal government as well, consider something like this so freaking dangerous. Yeah, that's a serious problem. Something needs to change. So anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.